Hello everyone, welcome back to Nail Art by Nessa, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is Vanessa, and in this video we are going to be trying out Aurora paper and the Korean trend of Aurora nails. If you like these looks and you want to see more like it, check out Sweet Tea Nails and Dana August Nails. We have all decided to try out this look, so be sure to check out what they create, and while you're over there, don't forget to subscribe. For this video, I decided to do 5 different looks just so I could really test out this Aurora paper. And for the first look, I started off with my Aurora Snow Light Cat Eye Gel by Born Pretty, and this one was called Dawn River. I applied a top coat and then applied Aurora powder for a extra sheen to the nail. I applied a base coat over top, and then while that was setting in the light, I checked out my Aurora papers. The first color I chose to test out was this really pretty blue paper, and I just cut it to size. After I cut the paper down to size, I applied a layer of builder gel to the nail, focusing the bulk of the product in the center of the nail. I applied the Aurora paper on top of the wet hard gel, but the sides kept wanting to stick up, so I tried to hold it down with my tweezers while setting it in the light. To finish off this nail, I encapsulated it, filed it, and then applied a nice shiny top coat. For nail number 2, I decided to start off with a top coat and apply 2 layers of this red Aurora powder. I applied a layer of base coat over top of the Aurora powder, and then my hard gel and my Aurora paper, the same as I did on the previous nail. However, this time I do not feel like it worked out very well. I ended up with a lot of rippling on the sides of the Aurora paper, and I thought maybe this was because the Aurora paper was a little large for this nail, but I really wanted it to cover all the sides. So to finish off this nail, I just encapsulated it, filed it, and then applied the top coat. But as you can see, yeah, there's a lot of wrinkles there, which is unfortunate because it's a really pretty nail otherwise, but I really wanted it to be smoother. So moving on to the third nail, I decided to go back and use the cat eye gel again, which I thought was a really pretty effect on the previous nail. And for this nail, I decided, even though I wanted it to cover the entire nail, I was going to use a smaller piece of Aurora paper just so that it would lie smoother on the nail. But I decided to go with a completely different look for this nail, and I am going to apply a really thin layer of hard gel and then some mylar hearts that I have, and I'm just going to apply these in a random pattern all over the nail. I set this in the light, and then I go around the edges of the heart with a detail brush and my hard gel before I add more hard gel, just so I don't get a whole bunch of bubbles in the gel. And then I add the gel, my Aurora paper, and encapsulate it, file it, and add my top coat. So I really liked this nail and the way it turned out. However, at this point I was a little frustrated that I just couldn't get the Aurora paper to do what I wanted it to do. It just kept lying very flat and I couldn't get it to sort of bend on the sides. So I stepped away for a little while, and when I came back I decided to switch up the shape of the nail. So I started off with a square tip for my fourth nail, and I'm applying a Born Pretty color number 92. It's called Touch Clouds, and on top of that I'm doing a top coat and a layer of Aurora powder. While I'm applying all of these first steps to the nail, I have taken my Aurora paper and wrapped it around a brush and just holding it there, hoping that it will actually get a little bit of a bend to it so that when I apply it to the nail, it might actually take the shape of the nail a little bit more. I cut a small piece of the Aurora paper and then cut it to the shape of the nail, making sure that the bend that I created in the Aurora paper is from sidewall to sidewall. I laid down the hard gel and then the Aurora paper on top, and because I had wrapped it around that brush, it did make quite a difference, but it was still standing up a lot at the cuticle and the tip of the nail. So I made two little slits at the cuticle area just so it would shape the nail more, and it did work. However, you can see where there's little bends there and where it's overlapping. But I do wish that I had done this at the tip of the nail as well, just because the nail ended up being very thick. But for this one, I feel like it did work probably the best for actually having the entire nail covered with the Aurora paper. Now for the fifth and final nail. For this one, though, I use Aurora paper. I don't know if you can call it an Aurora nail, just because normally when I see Aurora nails, they have a light colored base color, and I use black for this nail. But I decided I wanted to create like a gem look on top of the nail using the Aurora paper. So I'm going to cut up this Aurora paper, and I wanted it to be a little stiffer, so I just applied a little bit of top coat to this backing for a nail form, and then I set the Aurora paper in that, just so that when I'm cutting up the Aurora paper, it's just a little stiffer and easier to work with. And so I just cut it into a rectangle shape because it's going to be a rectangle shaped gem on the nail. And then I'm just cutting out the corners just to give it that sort of gem shape. And then once I do that, I'm going to cut it up almost like a puzzle, and then I'm going to sort of put the pieces back together on top of the nail. So I'm cutting sort of from like point to point where I cut off those corners, and then I'm going to cut off the triangle of each side. You'll see what I mean when as I'm doing it, but I'm basically creating a puzzle of all the edges of the gem shape. And then here I'm just applying a top coat, and I'm going to cut off those corners. Next, I apply a little bit of this Aurora chrome powder to the center of the nail, just in a rectangle shape, and I kind of wish I had left this part out. It didn't really, I feel like, add anything to the nail. If anything, it might have made it look a little bit messy, but regardless, that's what I did, so this is what you're seeing. And then I applied a nice big blob of the hard gel to the center, and I'm going to just apply the center rectangle piece to the center of the nail, and I'm sort of trying to clean up the hard gel a little bit on either side, just because I wanted it to be mostly directly underneath the rectangle that I'm applying on top. After playing around with it a bit, I set it in the light, and then I applied hard gel just to the sides of the rectangle, and then I add the pieces that I cut off, basically just repositioning them from where I cut them from. And the idea is I'm just kind of putting back the gem pieces, and from building up the center, they're all on an angle, so it's actually creating like a 3D gem shape on the nail. And once I sort of play with it and reposition everything a few times, I set it in the light and then encapsulate it. I filed it down and then top coated it. Here is my final nail with a top coat. I do like the way this one turned out. I feel like I could definitely improve on it, make it look a little cleaner, but I like the concept of it. Let me know what you think in the comments, and please let me know which ones are your favorite. For me, my favorites are the first one I did, the third one with the hearts, and the gem. For more Aurora looks, please check out Lisa Whitney at Dana August Nails and Sweet Tea Nails and see what they created. And don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell notification, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye!